Hello guys, so today I am going to explain to you all a quite unique manhwa, which is a roller coaster full of emotions. In this, sometimes you will get quite angry. Sometimes you will become very sad, or sometimes you will start smiling a lot. So in this story, our main character is quite young, who was quite attached to our second male lead. But our second male lead abandons him and leaves, and after 7 years, they meet again. So will both of them be able to erase their hatreds and be together again? We will know this in this story. And I do not know, guys, whether this is an explanation or not, but its story is quite good, so I will continue it. And I hope that you people will also show me a lot of support. So with this, let us start Chapter 1. At the start of the story, we are shown both our main characters together. This little child, whose name is Shi-hang, is our story's main character, and this other boy is the second male lead. In the present time, our second male lead, whose name is Tang-shu, tells Shi-hang that now I have to go. On the other side, in Tang-shu's mind, it was running that, when I adopted you, I thought I could take care of you. But thinking this was my biggest mistake, and we are also shown to people there, Tang-shu says, Shi-hang, from today, these people are your family, and your mom and dad. You will stay with them only. On which Shi-hang gets quite surprised, and says, Tang-shu, what nonsense are you talking? Come, let us go back home. And Shi-hang tells Tang-shu, are you still angry with me? I know I should not have pushed big sister, but for this, do not abandon me. And Tang-shu tells him, you need a real home, and he tells those people to take care of Shi-hang, for which those people also agree, and Tang-shu is quietly leaving from there. Shi-hang comes running near him and clings to him and says, Tang-shu, do not leave me. I do not need any mom or dad. I only need you. I only want to stay with you. And Shi-hang, while crying badly, begs him and says, Tang-shu, do not leave me. But Shi-hang does not listen to him at all and leaves him. This gave a big shock to Shi-hang, and he starts running behind Tang-shu. He was crying, and he also falls, but Tang-shu does not even turn back once, and he tells him, forgive me, but I am doing this for your own good. And Tang-shu leaves from there, and Shi-hang is left only crying. Now after this scene, the story directly jumps 7 years ahead. Tang-shu had now become a school teacher, and today he had just returned from abroad. Today is his first day in class. But we see as soon as he introduces himself to the children, the girls had become fans of his beautiful face, and he tells them, my name is Tang-shu. I am going to be your teacher. If anyone has any question, ask. Here the girls, instead of questions, start flirting with him and asking for his number, on which Tang-shu thinks that today's children have become so spoiled, and he tells them only questions related to studies will be allowed, and then he immediately says, today I will also choose the class president, for which quite a lot of people start volunteering and say, we want to become class president. Here now, Tang-shu is slowly reading everyone's name from the register, and whoever wanted to become class president could raise their hand. Quite a lot of people were volunteering. Then suddenly Tang-shu reads one name where it was written, Tang-guo. And as soon as he says this name, we are shown a boy who is quite pretty. He raises his hand. Tang-shu had recognized him in one glance, and he thinks 7 years have passed. Shi-hang, but you have not changed at all. So guys, this is our story's main character, who changed his name and kept Tang-guo. Or Tang-shu asks them if anyone wants to volunteer, they can raise their hand. Where quite a lot of girls had volunteered, and they were bidding like a fish market. Tang-shu tells all of them, okay, tell me, why do you want to become representative? Some girl says, I am quite good in studies. Some says, I am good in activities. Some says, I just want to stay close to you. But then Tang-guo stands up and says, I also want to become class president. There is no special reason for this. Because of which all the people become quiet, and Tang-guo starts looking towards Tang-shu and Tang-shu says, since only one boy has volunteered, then I will make only that boy the class president. Those children start getting angry and opposing it and say, teacher, now you have become quite bad. You chose the most beautiful boy of this class. Here, Tang-shu, also looking towards Tang-guo, thinks yes, really, he has become quite beautiful. After which, in the next scene, Tang-shu starts taking his class, and we see Tang-guo, on whose face there was a smile, and he says, I have finally found you. Now after the class ends, all the children are leaving from there, and Tang-guo is also getting up to leave. Here Tang-shu notices him. Here Tang-guo was about to quietly leave. But Tang-shu holds his hand and pulls him near himself and says, Tang-guo, you have to stay with me. Tang Guo asks him, Mr. Tang, after all, what do you want from me? Then Tang Shu also asks him, do you feel scared of me? For this Tang Guo refuses. On which Tang Shu says then, okay, come with me for lunch. And Tang Guo is quietly looking towards him and accepts his words. Now in the next scene we see them in the cafeteria, where Tang Guo brings that food and gives it to him. Tang Shu asks him, what are you thinking? Here Tang Guo tells nothing. Then Tang Shu notices that Tang Shu was mixing a special kind of drink in his food, and he remembers that he liked it a lot in childhood, and Tang Shu remembers this thing. Here Tang Shu asks Tang Guo, you have become quite big. But Tang Guo was not giving him any direct answer. Here Tang Shu, looking towards Tang Guo, thinks that he has completely changed now. In childhood he was not so calm and so polite. And Tang Shu starts thinking that in these years it seems he has lived quite well and his life is going quite good. Here Tang Shu also starts his food. But then Tang Guo says this food is quite a lot. I cannot finish so much. On which Tang Shu starts teasing Tang Guo and tells him, in childhood you used to eat all the food. And Tang Shu immediately gives him his food and says, you eat so little. That is why you have remained so thin. And Tang Guo also quietly starts eating food. Then suddenly Tang Shu asks, Tang Guo, after all, why did you change your name? She hanged this name you had chosen yourself. So after all, why did you change it? On this Tang Guo says, I was thinking about you, and I had understood that you do not need me anymore. That is why you abandoned me. On this Tang Shu gets quite surprised, and he asks Tang Guo, so you think all this is my fault? Are you blaming me for this? And we find Tang Guo quite scared, and he immediately becomes quite angry. He was not understanding anything, but he slowly calms himself, and in a light and quite calm voice says, no, there is no fault of yours in this. And looking towards him with a painful smile, says, I know you abandoned me for my own good. And he tells himself, only my name is Shi Heng. I changed it because I felt I am not worthy of him. So guys, you must be confused with this name system. So let me clear it for you. So our main character's childhood name was Shi Heng, which means a sensible person. But he changed his name and kept Tang Guo, a person who should not have been born at all. Which Tang Guo wants to tell that he should not have come to this world at all. And with this, the story goes 7 years back, where in a past scene we see Tang Shu and Tang Guo, where Tang Shu says, I have adopted you. So I also want to give you a name. Tell me what will be a new name for you. On which our little main character immediately becomes quite happy and says, I want my name to be Tang Shi. For this Tang Shu immediately refuses and says, Tang Shi, what kind of name is this? This looks like a girl's name, on which our main character tells him, your name is Tang Shu. Now I want to keep a name just like you, so Tang Shi will be good. On which Tang Shu tells him, do you want to copy me? On this, our main character, feeling shy and surprised, tells him, you are my savior. You saved my life, so I want my name to be on top of your name. On this, Tang Shu understands and says, then come now, let us give you a name. From today, your name will be Tang Shi Heng, and I give you my title, Shi Heng. This name was also liked a lot by our main character. After which the story comes to present, and we see the scene after lunch, where both of them are going on their own ways. Both of them do not talk much, and after saying goodbye to each other, they leave. But instead of going home, we see Tang Guo, who is sitting at one place, and thinking at that moment everything has stopped. He immediately drinks water and tries to calm himself, and immediately takes out his phone and calls a doctor and says, Doctor, are you free? I want to talk to you about something. Now the next scene is shown to us directly as the next day, where Tang Guo goes to meet his doctor. Where Dr. Wen welcomes him, Tang Guo immediately goes near her, where she tells him to sit and says, you are not attending class today. On which Tang Guo says, I am skipping, and those people were talking like this. Then suddenly, Tang Guo becomes quite calm and immediately says, I saw him again. On which his doctor tells him, when you took admission in that school, then you knew right that he is going to be the teacher. You joined the school only to see him again. Then Tang Guo says, I know, but still, I am feeling quite scared. I am repeatedly feeling that something wrong is going to happen, and I should not have gone near him, and I should have stayed quite far from him. On which Dr. Wen asks him, after all, what are you scared of? Then Tang Guo tells that I am scared that I will do something wrong. I will hurt him or Big Sister again. On this Dr. Wen explains to him, do not say this. I know that you cannot hurt anyone. On this Thames, Guo says, I also thought, but since I met him, my thinking is changing a lot. And he remembers the scenes with Tang Shu and tells her that as soon as I met him again, I started doubting myself. I do not have confidence in myself anymore. And then he says, sometimes I even think how good it would have been if he had not saved my life and not taken me with him. And right here, this chapter ends. Till now, we had seen that Tang Shu had adopted Tang Hua, but for some reason he had abandoned him again. But after 7 years, they meet again, but as teacher and a student. But after meeting Tang Shu, something happens to Tang Guo, and he has to go meet the doctor. We will know that secret later in the story. So today's chapter starts by showing a scene from the past, where we see Tang Shu, who is going somewhere with his friends, where a man comes to pick him up from whose talks we come to know these people had volunteered to come here. But these people were quite rich, so they were not liking the things here. But that man, somehow managing their tantrums, takes them to their room. That man takes them to one room which was quite old. The furniture there was also broken, and it looked as if the ceiling might fall on them any time. Here, the girl who came with Tang Shu says the condition of this place is even worse than I thought. On which that senior teacher says this is still quite better. When I came, there was nothing here. Tang Shu says talks will keep happening. First, let us do the work for which we have come here. Introduce us to the children whom we have to teach. Where then that senior teacher brings Tang Shu near a quite old hut, and he says, this is our school. Where we see that hut which looked quite old and completely broken. Then that teacher says, now with you people coming here, it will become quite easy to teach these children, and he immediately takes him inside the room, where we see quite a lot of poor village children. So this was a quite small village, so facilities were not much available here. But those small children wanted to study. That is why a small school was made for them. Here, Tang Shu feels quite bad after seeing them, and he immediately says, okay, I will teach them properly. But then we are shown one more child who is not in class. He was playing under a tree. He is the most different. Then that senior teacher shouts, Tang Guo, what are you doing there? Come here quickly. Here, Tang Shu asks about that child, so the senior teacher tells his name is Tang Guo, and he comes here to study because he likes studying a lot. But one thing is quite strange, that he stays far from everyone and does not talk to anyone. Do you want to talk to him? And Tang Shu moves forward to talk to that little child, where that child was lost in his own world and was writing some words on the ground with a stick. Tang Shu comes there and starts telling him the correct way of writing, on which Tang Guo gets quite surprised and starts looking at him. Here Tang Shu teaches him a little writing and then asks him, did you understand? Do you want to study with me? On which Tang Guo says, yes, I have understood. Tang Shu gets quite surprised from this, that this child talked to him while he does not talk to anyone. He immediately says, do you want to come to class and study? On which Tang Guo immediately becomes quite calm and says, no, I feel quite pain there. On this, Tang Shu asks him, tell me after all what happened to you. I will bring a doctor for you, and all your pain will go away. Here, Tang Guo gets quite surprised and looks towards him and says, will you really help me? Then Tang Shu says, yes, absolutely. Now on this, Tang Shu says there is pain in my body. On this, Tang Shu gets quite surprised, and we see Tang Guo lifts his pant and shows that he had a quite big injury on his leg. Tang Shu had become quite surprised after seeing such a big injury on Tang Guo's leg and says, how are you sitting here peacefully? You have such an injury. You should be taken to the doctor immediately. Here, Tang Shu was looking at him in surprise. I will immediately apply medicine on this right now. Then your pain will go away. But we see little Tang Guo, who was thinking, is this boy angry at me? Now, in the next scene, we see both of them in Tang Shu's room, where Tang Shu tells Tang Guo, I have applied ointment on this. You just take care of it. Now, if you ever get injured again, then come to me. Tell me, is there pain anywhere else? On which suddenly that little child says, yes, I have pain, and he brings his hands near his chest and says, I have pain here too? On this, Tang Shu tells him, can you show me? For which Tang Guo agrees, and he slowly starts opening his shirt, and Tang Shu had become very surprised, and we see that little child's entire body had marks of injuries, as if some ruthless animal hidden in human skin had done this to him. Tang Shu gets quite angry after seeing Tang Guo's this condition, and he thinks, after all, what kind of animal can do such condition to a child? Here, seeing Tang Shu in so much anger, Tang Guo starts remembering someone, and he immediately gets scared and steps back and starts shouting, "Please, do not hit me. I will not come near you again. Do not hit me." We see that little child, the poor guy, was trembling while being scared badly. Tangshu was also looking towards him in surprise, and that child had become scared very badly and was only repeatedly saying one thing that I will not make. Mistake, do not hit me, please do not get angry, and he becomes completely calm and starts trembling. Tangshu immediately realizes his mistake and he says, "Look, do not be scared. I am not angry at you. I will not cause you any harm. Come to me, let me apply medicine on your injury." And he extends his hand forward, where we see quite scared Tangguo. He puts his hand on his hands and says, "Okay then, after all, who did this condition to this little child? We will know that later in the story." Anyway, now the story comes to present where we see Tangguo, who tells his doctor that now the time for me to leave has come, and he was about to leave from there when his doctor tells him, "Look, now the time has come to stop your medicine," which Tangguo gets quite surprised and stops there. And the doctor tells him, "Tangguo, I think now you should stop eating those medicines. You can be fine without them." Tangguo just quietly listens to their talks and leaves. And he thinks, will he really be able to be fine without medicines? And he just stands quietly. Now, as soon as Tangguo returns to his hostel, his friend teases him and says, "Did you go to meet your girlfriend?" Tangguo tells him to stop nonsense and starts looking at a flute. Then suddenly his friend calls his name, so Tangguo goes near him when his friend tells that our new teacher, Mr. Tang, he has become quite famous. On the first day of school itself, quite a lot of children and teachers have started liking him. Girls have become crazy for his beautiful face. Along with that, boys are also liking him a lot. Where we see Tangguo becoming quite jealous, and he throws his flute in anger. Then his friend says, "Now why did you put so much anger on this innocent, speechless one?" But Tangguo was seriously becoming quite jealous because Tangshu had now become quite famous and popular. In class, girls had started flirting with him in front of everyone. Along with that, boys were only talking about him only. Then in the meantime, Tangguo's friend says, "Do you know the whole school is jealous of you? Because you have become class representative, which means you are the closest to him." On this, Tangguo says, "What is there to be jealous in this?" And he immediately goes to sleep in anger and says, "Turn off the light quickly." Here we see Tangguo, who had gone to his bed, but he was not getting sleep at all. He tries to sleep, but he cannot sleep. He immediately takes out his phone and looks, and he remembers that in their previous meeting, Tangshu had given him his number. But till today, he has not contacted him. He immediately looks towards his phone and thinks, "Tangshu, so many days have passed since we exchanged numbers. But till today you have not messaged me. I take out my phone every day and check if you have sent something, but you have not done anything." And Tangguo, thinking about Tangshu that we met after, "So long, but still am I the only one who is excited. For all these things, does Tangshu not care about me at all?" And that scene cuts there. The next scene is shown to us as Tangguo, who is in his school, and he was doing some work for Tangshu. He brings and gives him some test papers, and all on which Tangshu says thank you to him for help. So Tangguo says, on which Tangguo says that now I have no work. So I am leaving from here. And he was about to leave from there when Tangshu stops him and immediately tells him, "You have not taken your reward yet for helping me." As soon as Tangguo goes near him, he sees that there was a chocolate in Tangshu's hand. Tangguo remembers that this was his favorite chocolate in childhood, and he can only eat this. Otherwise, he would get allergy from eating other chocolates. And he remembers that in childhood, Shu used to buy quite a lot of boxes of this chocolate for him so that he could give it to Tangguo. Here in present, we see Tangshu tells Tangguo, "Do you not like this chocolate now?" Tangguo quietly takes the chocolate and says, "I like it." Here, both of them were talking like this, when suddenly we see Tangshu asks Tangguo, "You told me that whatever happened between us before, you do not blame me for that. Then, after all, why do you not change your name back? I do not like this name Tangguo of yours at all." On this, Tangguo says changing name is quite a hard work. And second thing, my name, Tangguo. This is quite special for me, and I want people to remember me by my real name. Tangshu tells him, "Okay, anyway, what is there in a name? You can do whatever you want. If you like this name, then keep it only." And then he tells him, "Now I am your teacher. So as a teacher, answer my question. After all, why does half the class copy only your homework?" and immediately hits on Tongguo's head and says, "You stop distributing your hard work for free like this. Otherwise, from now on, you will get punishment every day in class." After which he tells Tongguo to return to his class, and Tongguo also starts leaving from there. Where Tang Shu was looking at him and tells him, "Take care of yourself," and Tongguo quietly leaves from there. Now, in the next scene, Tang Shu, after finishing his work, is coming out from the teacher's room. Then he sees a teacher coming from the front. That teacher used to teach Tongguo's class before. So Tang Shu immediately goes and meets him and says, "Mr. Wang, the class of which you were a class teacher before, there is a child named Tongguo who studies in it on," which the teacher says, "Yes, I remember him on." This Tang Shu immediately asks him, after all, what kind of student is Tongguo, were his grades in school, and how does he behave, on which that teacher, while remembering, Tongguo tells that child is quite kind-hearted and very good. His studies are also quite good, and he mixes well with children. Yes. Only one shortcoming is that he does not like talking much with others. And then teacher Wang immediately asks Tang Shu, "Hey, both of you have the same surname, Tang. So are both of you from the same family? Are both of you relatives?" On which Tang Shu does not give any answer and immediately thanks him and leaves from there. So, before ending the chapter, let me clear the confusion for you people again. So Tongguo's original name is Tongguo only, which means a mistake. But later, when Tang Shu adopted Tongguo, he changed his name to Tang Shu. Hang, which means a sensible person, but now Tongguo has changed his name. She hang back to Tongguo again, which Tang Shu does not like, because from this he remembers that weak Tongguo from childhood. Anyway, so with this note we end today's chapter. When Tang Shu was passing through the corridor, his eyes fell on Tongguo, who was standing outside the classroom. Tang Shu got a little surprised, went closer, and asked softly what happened. "Class is about to start. Why are you not going inside?" Tongguo just stayed silent, as if he was lost in some deep thought. Tang Shu's curiosity increased. He peeked inside the classroom. Seeing the scene inside, his heart sank. The entire class was already completely full. Seeing this, Tang Shu went into shock for a few moments. Tang Shu told the students, "I am not against attending my classes based on your hobbies, but remember that you do not affect my class students." Then he pointed at Tongguo and said to everyone, "Will anyone give up their seat for my class representative?" Hearing this, Tongguo started thinking, "Did he call me class representative?" In the meantime, one girl spoke up, "There is one seat empty here." Hearing this, Tang Shu immediately told him to sit there. Then he started saying to the students in a strict tone, "My class is going to be very strict. I will make sure that no one copies anyone's homework." Hearing this, the students started whispering among themselves. Then Tang Shu said, "Strictly enough now. Let us start the class." After this, he started teaching. But Tongguo's attention was somewhere else. That is why when Tang Shu was calling him, he was lost in his own thoughts. A student sitting nearby gave him a light push, because of which a page of his notebook tore. At that moment, he realized that the teacher was calling his name. Tongguo stood up in fear. Tang Shu asked him one question, on which Tongguo replied in a strange tone, "What is this?" Hearing this, the students started thinking that he has so much courage that he will have to be scolded. Tang Shu said in a slightly cold voice, "Is today's lecture boring?" Hearing the teacher's cold voice, all the children suddenly become quiet. Then Tang Shu takes a deep breath and says, "I have to say with regret that it is not just today's matter, but this entire chapter is really boring. According to me, all this is going to be very difficult for the audit class." Hearing this, the girls started laughing and saying, "Teacher, you have already scared us. The atmosphere has become a little light." Tongguo sits down. Then the teacher answers that question and starts giving the lecture again. But Tongguo was just staring at him. After some time, the bell rings. Now it was recess period. One student was asking Tang Shu a doubt on which the teacher started explaining on the blackboard. Tongguo was watching all this, and as soon as his eyes fell on teacher Tang Shu's hands, his heartbeat became fast. Then his friend put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Do not forget about today's rehearsal." Tongguo pushed him away and said, "Sure." His friend laughed and said, "We are depending on you for this year's orientation program. You will have to play the flute well." Saying this, his friend left the room, and while leaving, said, "We will wait for you in the rehearsal room." Tongguo nodded and said, "Okay." At the same time, Tang Shu asked him, "You have not gone yet. Come, let us both go together. Tang Guo asked curiously, Mr. Tang, did you need to write that formula? Hearing this, Tang Guo stared at him for a few seconds. Then he put his hand on his head and laughed and said, What is this? Why are you getting so worried? I was just joking with them. How silly you are. Hearing this, Tang Guo started thinking, I am really silly. Then Tang Shu asked him, Where were you lost during class? On which Tang Guo replied, I was feeling sleepy. Tang Shu teased him and said, So is the bad habit of staying awake till late night still going on in male dorms? Tang Guo lightly nodded, and looking at Tang Shu, thought he has always been like this. If he does not agree with something, then tension is clearly visible on his face. Tang Shu said you should not sleep late at night, and now do not stay quiet. You were not attentive during my class, and look, you also tore your notebook. I am giving you this new notebook. Thanks, he immediately said. There is no need for this. Tang Shu got a little irritated and said, Why do you always stay polite with me? Hearing this, Tang Guo had to take that notebook forcefully. Then Tang Shu said, I heard your conversation with Lu. Both of you were talking about rehearsal. What is this rehearsal for? Tang Guo replied, This is one program of the orientation party. Tang Shu asked, What are you going to play? Tang Guo said, I will play the flute. Our class is going to recite poetry with my music. Hearing this, Tang Shu said, When did you learn to play the flute? This is not bad. Hearing this compliment, Tang Guo blushed a little. Then Tang Shu went closer to him and said, By the way, before he could say anything further, a person came and said, Excuse me, is this study hall 5? Have I come to the wrong floor then? Tang Guo quickly said, Mr. Tang, now I am leaving. Saying this, he ran away from there. Tang Shu got a little annoyed. Lu Hong said, We are going together for barbecue. Why do not you also join us? On this, that girl immediately said, Mr. Tang, you can come with us. Tang Shu asked in a light tone, How many people are you total here? Lu Hong said there were 7 but 2 students left, so now only 5 students are left. Tang Shu looked around and saw that Tang Guo was hiding behind the wall. A light smile came on his face, and he said, But here there are only 4 students. Hearing this, Lu Hong shouted loudly, Tang Guo, what are you doing there? Come, let us go. Hearing his voice, Tang Guo got irritated. Then he took a deep breath and came in front of everyone. Lu Hong said, Come with us. Mr. Tang is also joining us. But Tang Guo again said, I really do not feel hungry. Lu Hong put his hand on his shoulder and said, Are you joking? A while ago you were excited to come along. On this, Tang Guo became quiet and could not give any answer. Then Tang Shu, looking towards him, said, Class representative, come with us. You can at least do this much kindness for me. Hearing this, Tang Guo felt a little awkward, but in the end, he agreed to go. In the next scene, we see all those people sitting in a restaurant. Then one girl asks Tang Shu, How old are you? Tang Shu, with a light smile, answers 89, I will turn 30 very soon. Hearing this, the second girl says in surprise, You do not look that old at all. You look like a senior only. The first girl immediately asks another question. So, do you have any girlfriend? Tang Shu takes a deep breath and says, My luck is very bad for girls, and I am not that popular among girls either. Hearing this, the girls immediately shout, No way, how can this be? Hearing Tang Guo's answer, Tang Guo starts staring at him. Seeing this, Tang Guo smiles and asks, Did I say something wrong? Why are you staring at me like this? Tang Guo turns his face away and thinks in his mind, He is lying. Then he pouts a little. Seeing this, Tang Shu gets worried. This boy is so awkward. In the meantime, the waiter comes to serve food on their table. Lu Hong tells the waiter, Why are all the dishes here so spicy? We had also ordered 1 plate with honey sauce. The waiter bows and says, Today, there is a lot of crowd here. Maybe there was a mistake in on order. I will change it immediately. Tang Shu raises his hand to stop and says, There is no need for this. You bring the new on order immediately. The waiter says okay and leaves. Then Tang Guo was eating sweet corn when Tang Shu gives him meat and says the order will take time. Till then, you can eat this. I have removed the spices. It will not feel too spicy to you. For the meat, Tang Guo says softly thank you that he suddenly remembers a flashback. He remembers that once he had blisters in his mouth and he was in a lot of pain. At that time, Tang Shu had forbidden him from eating spicy food and had taken the bowl from his hand. But Tang Guo had secretly picked up a piece of meat. As soon as he was about to eat it, Tang Shu had stopped him and explained, "You have to be a good child. I will make spicy food for you myself on some other day." Here the flashback ends. The scene returns to present again. Now Tang Guo was eating that same spicy meat. Suddenly he starts coughing because that meat was too spicy for him. Tang Shu immediately gets worried and immediately gives him water and says, "Rinse with this water. You still cannot eat spicy food." Seeing this, Lu Heng asks Mr. Tang, "Do you know Tang Shu for a long time?" Tang Guo answers yes. Then he picks up meat from Tang Guo's plate and eats it himself. Tang Guo thinks in his mind, "It was mine." Then suddenly one girl asks a question I have been noticing since a while. "Mr. Tang, both of you are very good looking, and your surname also matches. Are you relatives of our major queen?" Hearing this, both become quiet for a few moments. Then Tang Guo says softly, "This is your major queen. This nickname is quite interesting. Anyway, you can say that both of us are relatives." Hearing this, Tang Guo gets lost in thought. Are both of us only relatives? After some time, the scene changes, and all are shown coming out of the restaurant. Tang Shu says, "You people can go back. I have to talk a little with Tang Guo." Hearing this, all the other people leave from there. Tang Shu says, "Come, let us talk somewhere else." On which Tang Guo says, "After 11 o'clock, I will not get entry in the dormitory." Tang Shu, with a light laugh, asks, "Will you have any problem if I smoke?" Tang Guo shakes his head and says no. While smoking, Tang Shu suddenly asks, "Did you say that you do not blame me for whatever happened between us before? Then, after all, why do you not change your name back? I do not like this name Tang Guo of yours at all." On this, Tang Guo says changing name is quite a hard work. And second thing, my name, Tang Guo. This is quite special for me, and I want people to remember me by my real name. Tang Shu tells him, "Okay, anyway, what is there in a name? You can do whatever you want. If you like this name, then keep it only."